Hello and welcome to API Discovery Done Right. The first idea to do this talk was to just walk you through the API portal we are building and show you the different features we are doing to improve, to provide API discovery. But as I mapped out the features, I realized, look, but that's not going to work, definitely not into the next 20 minutes. But first, also, I had to get the structure in there. And I did this by applying a model called API Consumer Access Model, developed and presented by my dear colleague Miriam Kreis. And that was the result. But before we dive into all these different colors and what they mean and how this mapping of the access model can help you to understand what features are missing or maybe are too much for the audience you are targeting with the portal, who am I and what is this portal I'm talking about? My name is Felix Medam. I'm IT consultant and software developer at the Codecentric AG. And I'm part of a customer project since 3 years where we are building and operating a public-facing API portal for our customer. Sadly, I can't tell you the name of the customer without violating my NDA and several other contracts. But let's pretend the customer in this case is this lovely spaceship yard called Tycho. And Tycho is producing spaceships like this environmentally solar system cruiser called Razorback for you and me. We can use them to cruise around the solar system and visit the planets we like. The thing with these cruisers is they collect a lot of data, and Tycho is using this data internally for a while now. At some point, Tycho decided, let's not just use the data internally, but make a business model out of it and provide this data externally and sell it and provide useful APIs they already had internally. This is where Codecentric came in, and together with another partner, we built this API portal since the last 8 years. About the API consumer access model I mentioned before, it was presented at the first day of the Apidays in Munich by my dear colleague Miriam Kreis. And if you saw her talk, you may be familiar with this graphic here. In this graphic, you can see how we have 3 different access channels. Actually, there are 4, but some more on that. And every access channel is targeting a specific API audience. And up here we have the 4th channel, the registry, that is for the API provider audience. You can also visualize these channels like that, and I like this one more here because here you can see that the registry up here is targeting a technical API lifecycle audience like our API providers. And also we have the API catalog that is more on the business side of the provider audience. And the same as it is for the API marketplace, that is for API consumers, but with business background, and the API portal for technical users that want to consume our APIs. I said these channels also have distinct feature sets, and I map them out here as an Venn diagram. But before you start to read all of them, let's only display look at the ones we are actually using. First off, as I mapped them out, I realized there are some features that are serving all the audiences, and I colored them violet. These are API definitions and the API inventory, so the collection of the definitions. And also every audience needs some kind of landing page to explain what is going on the portal. Then on the developer portal side, we have the access management for self-serving credentials as example, and sandbox tryouts for the APIs to experience them without needing to actually make any specific calls from their own terminal. On the API catalog side, we have governance features and API metadata, so metadata next to the API definition. And with that, we also have the search and filter feature. On the marketplace, we have features like billing and consumption overviews or shop and checkout capabilities. With that knowledge, let's look at our feature set of the portal again. And as I said before, we are not making it through all of the features in this short time, but we can have a look at some of them and see how they are affecting our architecture of the portal. So let's start with the landing page. Of course, we have one, and you see the violet color here, so it is serving multiple audiences at this point. And also the API inventory and the API definitions. We display the API definitions with Swagger UI in our front end here. But to display something, you also need to have something, and therefore we need a registry, and we need the API definitions in our registry. And you see the red color here, so this feature here is serving solely our API providers, technical API providers of the registry, so the registry channel. In our portal, we support Open API definitions and Async API definitions. So next up, we have a search and filter capability, but to filter something, you also need API metadata. And again, you see the blue color, so it's a feature for our catalog channel. For the API metadata, we are using the content management system that also came handy for our marketplace features later on. To get a certain quality standard with our API definitions, we are using Spectral for governance to lint our APIs and make certain they match our Spectral rule set. If they did not match and were validated by Spectral, our API providers could not upload them and publish them, so they would be rejected. Getting to the next channel, we also have credentials, self-service for credentials for the APIs. And for that, we also needed a login. And with that, it gets interesting to have a look at our infrastructure. So up to this point, we had an infrastructure like this. So we had a portal backend and CMS in our registry. But with the login, we also needed an OAuth client to realize the login. And also to fetch and regenerate the credentials, we had to integrate the API management that is served by a different team. coming to the marketplace channel, one feature of the marketplace would be the API product overview. This is a page tailored towards a business audience where we present business use cases of the API. And to present something like this, we actually need to store this content somewhere. So content management system, as I said, came in quite handy for the texts and images and stuff like this. Also as a self-service here. So the last feature I want to talk about here is the tryout feature we enabled in the Swagger UI. And the idea with that was obviously, so people, specifically developers who wanted to experience our API could try it out in the Swagger UI without having a subscription. But for that, we also needed specific tryout API servers. So again, in our landscape, we had our API servers for all our audiences, but also now we needed the tryout API servers with the tryout data. And to actually connect our Swagger UI towards our tryout API servers, we had to create a second tryout API definition with the tryout servers defined as servers there. So you can see how our features over here are needing and creating complexity in the rest of our architecture, and how our architecture, how you can map your architecture, or how we can map our architecture of this project to these distinct access channels and audiences. But you can also do another thing with the audiences. As I said before, they map towards specific audiences, and surprise, surprise, these match quite nicely with our portal personas. So we have the API developer who's using the registry, the API manager who uses the catalog, and then on the consumer side or API consumption side, we have the application developer utilizing the API, and the application manager buying and selecting APIs fitting their application use case. In the following, I will only focus on those two groups and audiences here. Because if we do the mapping again and look at a very simplified structure of the portal, we can see how we have the landing page feature, an API inventory feature, and product overview feature serving both audiences here. And so as a business person, you would who wants to buy an API, you would need to go through the landing page into the inventory and select product overview to the checkout. The same it is for the developer who wants to have a look at the definition or docs of the API. And for the login, we have the same thing again. The login is serving both audiences, and we have again the consumption data and for the business audience, and the credentials for the technical audience. And as you can see, this portal content and structure was a bit more on the technical side, and this was also due to the fact that we started by building a developer portal. So the first audience we had in mind were application developers utilizing our APIs, and not necessarily the business, the application managers buying the APIs. So it was decided to make a more focus more on the business audience. And for that, a sales portal was created. So we had kind of a portal sprawl here. And the sales portal had a distinct landing page, API environment, inventory, and product overview. The downside was, as a business user, on the sales portal who wanted to actually buy an API and subscribe to it, you had to switch the portal and go to the product overview to actually get through the checkout. So, and to improve this, two concepts were developed to have a better and more coherent user journey. The first one is mainly inspired by other public API portals like Stripe, from Stripe and Plate, where you have two separate portals and separate those user groups into give them each their own portal and space. So again, you have a sales portal here and an RP portal over here, or developer portal in this case, but they share the login and checkout. And now, as a specific audience, could get quite easily towards these shared spaces or portal and get to the information you wanted to have here. The second concept is more based on our original structure. And here you can find the sales portal again over here, but with a nice integration of the developer features. So what we did here, we're using the old structure and tailoring it towards the business audience. And if you compare all these structures and concepts again, you can see how the portal evolved from this mixed audience serving portal, a little bit more on the technical side, towards this business audience serving portal that also provides the necessary features for our developer users, for our technical audience. So what are the takeaways from this little mapping exercise and mapping our discovery features towards the access channels, onto the access channels? For a new portal, you should clearly define the goals and responsibilities of the portal you are going to create, because you need to decide to whom you want to optimize it for, and if you need maybe multiple entry points for those different audiences you want to serve. And by mapping out different content structures, this can help you to identify what are your actual target audience you want to serve, if you know what features you want to have before you know your audience. For existing portals, this mapping can help to identify an overrepresentation of an access channel compared to the intended portal audience. So if you have a lot of features serving the developer portal channel, but actually you want to serve more business savvy audience, this can help to identify this gap here. And by that, obviously, you answer the question if your portal is addressing the right audience. And also, you can identify how a change in the target audience would affect the portal structure to still have coherent user journeys for this audience. Okay, to sum it all up, to do RP discovery right, first and foremost, and you need to have a clear scope and responsibility of your portal. And also you should know your target audiences, because you want to have coherent user journeys for them. And you should also check if there is an access channel that is overrepresented in your portal compared to the intended audience of your portal. And with that, thank you very much for your attention. I hope you could take away 1 or 2 things from this talk, and happy API discovering. Thank you very much.